I'm Madison Taylor, 35, CEO of TechVision Enterprises. But 12 years ago, I was just a struggling college student whose parents sold my beloved Honda Civic without permission. Your car paid for his future. Mom smiled as they handed my brother the MBA acceptance letter. The memory still burns whenever I glance at the executive application on my mahogany desk, his name boldly printed at the top. No family photos grace my corner office, just industry awards and the gleaming CEO nameplate that took years of sacrifice to earn. If you've ever had to sacrifice for family while watching them take the easy path, drop a comment below about where you're watching from, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned to hear what happened when my brother walked into my boardroom expecting a dream job. Growing up in Elmhurst, a middle-class suburb west of Chicago, I learned early that my place in our family hierarchy was permanently second tier. Our split-level home on Berkshire Lane housed 4 people but seemed designed primarily for 3, with my brother Jason consistently at the center of my parents' universe. Dad, a dedicated middle manager at an insurance firm, and Mom, an elementary school administrative assistant, worked hard to provide us with comfortable lives, but their emotional investment was unevenly distributed from the beginning. I remember my 10th birthday, when I received a practical set of encyclopedias while Jason's 8th celebration 3 months earlier featured a lavish backyard party complete with a magician and custom-designed Batman cake that Mom spent 2 days perfecting. School events highlighted the disparity even more glaringly. Dad would reschedule important meetings to attend Jason's average baseball games, where he typically warmed the bench, but offered only a quick "sorry, can't make it" text for my debate team state championships. Despite the obvious favoritism, I channeled my frustration into academic excellence, maintaining a 4.0 GPA throughout high school while immersing myself in advanced STEM courses that genuinely fascinated me. Technology became my refuge in sophomore year when Mrs. Abernathy, my computer science teacher, recognized my aptitude for coding and logical problem-solving. Under her guidance, I created a rudimentary inventory management system for the school's science department that earned me an unexpected commendation from the principal. Mom and Dad's reaction was a distracted, "That's nice, honey," as they fussed over Jason's C+ in algebra, scheduling tutoring sessions, and developing elaborate reward systems for minimal improvement. My 16th birthday brought independence in the form of my first job at Comtech, a local electronics store where I worked 20 hours weekly while maintaining my perfect GPA. Every dollar earned went into 2 separate accounts, college savings and my car fund. Meanwhile, Jason coasted through high school with a solid C average, expecting and receiving constant praise for completing basic assignments. "School just isn't his thing," Dad would explain to relatives, "but he's got such natural leadership skills." These leadership skills apparently manifested as becoming beer pong champion at weekend parties, events I skipped to work extra shifts. After 18 months of double shifts, weekend work, and scrimping on lunches, I finally saved enough for a used 2001 Honda Civic with 87,000 miles on the odometer. The pearl white sedan wasn't fancy, but it represented every early morning inventory shift and Friday night I'd worked while classmates enjoyed typical teenage experiences. The day I drove it home, Mom asked if I'd consider letting Jason borrow it for his dates, since girls notice these things. I politely declined, establishing one of my first real boundaries. Senior year brought college acceptance letters. I received offers from several state universities with partial merit scholarships, eventually selecting University of Illinois for its excellent computer science program. Mom and Dad offered a perfunctory congratulations and contributed a modest $500 toward my expenses. 4 months later, when Jason graduated with his unremarkable transcript and gained admission to Northern Illinois University, my parents threw a backyard barbecue, invited the extended family, and presented him with a $3,000 check toward freshman year expenses. "Your brother needs more support adjusting to college life," Mom explained when I questioned the disparity. The summer before college, I found unexpected alliance with Grandma Eleanor, Mom's mother, who recognized the imbalance in our family dynamic. During our weekly lunch dates at Elmhurst Diner, she would slip me envelopes containing $50 or $100, murmuring for books with a knowing wink. "You've got something special, Maddie. she told me over cherry pie a la mode during our final lunch before I left for college. Don't let anyone dim your light, even family. With these words echoing in my mind, I packed my modest belongings into my Honda Civic that August morning, feeling a wave of hope as I pulled away from the driveway, watching my parents' figures grow smaller in the rearview mirror, waving half-heartedly as they turned back to help Jason select courses for his first semester. University life brought unexpected freedom and challenges as I navigated the male-dominated computer science program where female students comprised barely 18% of the department. My freshman year roommate Alyssa, a journalism major with pink-streaked hair and strong opinions about gender equality, became an instant ally as I battled subtle sexism from both professors and classmates. They'll respect you when you consistently outcode them, she predicted, and gradually, she proved right. By second semester, I was invited to join an elite coding group after developing an algorithm that streamlined their project workflow. Financially, college proved more demanding than anticipated. My partial scholarship covered tuition but left housing, books, and living expenses my responsibility. I juggled 3 part-time jobs, morning shifts at the campus coffee shop, weekend hours at the university IT help desk, and nights delivering food for a local sandwich chain. My Honda became essential infrastructure, enabling me to zip between classes, work, and occasional group projects. Sleep became a luxury as I maintained my academic standing while earning enough to stay afloat. Sophomore year brought a prestigious opportunity to participate in a competitive summer internship program, requiring extensive preparation during spring semester. I had just completed an all-night study session for midterms when my phone displayed home calling at 7:43 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. Mom's voice sounded artificially cheerful as she announced, "Wonderful news, Madison. Jason's been accepted to Northwestern's MBA program. Can you believe it?" I mumbled congratulations, genuinely happy for my brother despite our complicated relationship. What came next, however, shattered any goodwill. "We need to discuss how you can help with his tuition," she continued without pause. "It's a prestigious program, and this opportunity will set him up for life." Half awake and confused, I asked for clarification. Surely they weren't expecting financial contribution from their struggling daughter? Dad took over the call, explaining how they'd invested in Jason's future by committing to Northwestern's substantial tuition, requiring some family sacrifices. I agreed to discuss options when I visited home that weekend, assuming we'd explore reasonable possibilities together. 3 days later, I pulled into my parents' driveway after a 4-hour drive, noticing immediately something was missing. My parking spot stood empty. Inside, Mom bustled around the kitchen preparing Jason's favorite lasagna, while Dad watched basketball. Neither mentioned anything unusual until dinner, when, between bites, Dad casually stated, "The Honda sold quickly, got a fair price too." My fork clattered against the plate as realization dawned. "My car? You sold my car." The chaos that followed included my mother's dismissive wave as she stated the words that would forever alter our relationship. "Your car paid for his future, Madison. Don't be selfish." Jason sat silently, examining his garlic bread with sudden fascination while Dad defended their decision with corporate speak about family investment strategies and long-term returns. The title, they explained, had technically remained in Dad's name for insurance purposes, though every payment had come from my earnings. My property had been liquidated without consultation, consent, or courtesy of advance notice. How am I supposed to keep my jobs without transportation? I demanded, calculating the immediate impact on my financial stability. Mom suggested campus buses while Dad offered platitudes about character building. Jason, when finally pressed for comment, simply shrugged and said, "Thanks, I guess," before asking for second helpings. That night, I sobbed in my childhood bedroom, feeling violated in ways I couldn't fully articulate. The betrayal transcended the material loss. It represented my parents' fundamental disregard for my autonomy, my work, and my future. At breakfast, Mom acted as though nothing had happened, offering pancakes and asking about classes while avoiding any mention of the Honda. I called Alyssa, who listened to my tearful explanation before offering practical solutions and emotional validation. You don't owe them your independence, she declared firmly. This crosses every boundary. Before leaving, I informed my parents I would no longer accept or expect financial help, nor would I discuss my financial situation with them again. The bus ride back to campus marked my true independence, painfully gained but absolutely necessary. Watching raindrops race down the Greyhound window, I made silent promises to myself about the woman I would become and the boundaries I would maintain, my reflection occasionally visible against the backdrop of passing Midwest towns and endless cornfields. The following months transformed hardship into hustle as I reorganized my life around public transportation schedules and limited mobility. The campus coffee shop manager allowed me to pick up additional morning shifts, but I lost the food delivery job that had provided flexible income. My daily routine became a precise science. 4:30 a.m. alarm, campus shuttle by 5:15, coffee shop shift until 9:50, sprint across quad to make 10 a.m. advanced data structures class. Laundry happened at 2 a.m. when machines were available. Grocery shopping became a weekly expedition with Alyssa, who generously offered her beat-up Toyota for essential errands. The unexpected champion in this challenging period emerged during advanced systems architecture when Professor Winters, a former Silicon Valley executive with steel gray hair and intimidating brilliance, asked me to stay after class. Your algorithm optimization project demonstrated commercial application potential, she stated, sliding a business card across the desk. My former colleague runs Nexus Innovations. Their summer internship pays actual money and provides housing. Apply. This unexpected opportunity became my salvation. The competitive internship selection process included 5 rounds of interviews and a practical coding challenge. When the acceptance email arrived, I celebrated with instant ramen splurged with real vegetables. Mom called occasionally, conversations strained and superficial. Jason's finding the MBA coursework challenging, she mentioned during one call. He's had to cut back on his social activities to focus on studies. I bit back the observation that most graduate students didn't have luxury social calendars to sacrifice. The Nexus internship transformed my professional trajectory. Located in a gleaming Chicago high-rise, the company assigned me to their mobile platform development team, where I quickly distinguished myself by identifying efficiency improvements in their codebase. Senior developers began requesting me specifically for challenging projects, and by summer's end, the CTO offered to extend my position remotely during senior year. Graduation approached with a mixture of pride and lingering sadness. My parents and Jason attended the ceremony, arriving 20 minutes late and leaving immediately after to accommodate Jason's networking event that evening. Grandma Eleanor's absence felt particularly painful. She had passed away that winter, leaving a modest inheritance that my parents suggested should help with Jason's business wardrobe for post-MBA interviews. I politely declined involvement in this conversation. The real graduation gift arrived in my inbox, a full-time offer from Innosphere, a prestigious San Francisco tech firm known for innovative cloud solutions. The starting salary exceeded anything I had imagined possible, though Silicon Valley's cost of living would consume much of it. With 6 cardboard boxes containing my possessions, I boarded a flight to California, ready to reinvent myself 3,000 miles from the Midwest dynamics that had shaped and nearly broken me. The San Francisco tech scene pulsated with intensity and opportunity. My studio apartment in the Tenderloin district barely contained a bed and desk, but its location allowed me to walk to Innosphere's Market Street headquarters. The learning curve proved steep as I navigated both technical challenges and office politics. My direct manager, Vivian, recognized my technical abilities but warned about my tendency toward isolation. Networking builds careers more than code, she advised during my first performance review. Taking this guidance seriously, I forced myself to attend company social events and industry meetups, gradually building connections across departments. My breakthrough project came 9 months in, when our team faced a seemingly insurmountable integration challenge with a newly acquired subsidiary. After watching senior developers struggle for weeks, I quietly developed a middleware solution over a weekend and presented it Monday morning. The elegant code impressed our CTO enough to fast-track my promotion to senior developer. A Christmas visit home that year proved predictably uncomfortable. Mom proudly displayed Jason's MBA graduation photos throughout the house while my parents discussed the executive positions he deserved. The contrast between his entitlement and my hard-earned progress couldn't have been starker. Jason complained about unreasonable expectations from companies offering him upper mid-level management positions rather than director-level roles. "I have an MBA from Northwestern," he repeatedly emphasized, as though the credential alone guaranteed executive status, without demonstrable skills or experience. Returning to San Francisco, I channeled frustration into ambition, volunteering for increasingly complex projects and positioning myself for leadership opportunities. When appointed team lead 14 months later, I inherited 6 developers and a troubled project timeline. Through strategic delegation and late nights, we delivered 3 days early, establishing my reputation as someone who could transform underperforming teams. New Year's Day, watching fireworks illuminate the bay from my slightly larger apartment window, I allowed myself to acknowledge how far I'd come and permitted myself to want even more. The following 3 years brought rapid advancement as I refined my technical expertise while developing crucial leadership capabilities. Inosphere promoted me to development manager, overseeing 3 teams totaling 22 engineers, the youngest person to hold this position in company history. My management philosophy emphasized both technical excellence and human development, creating an environment where team members could innovate without fear of failure. This approach produced results. Our department's productivity metrics consistently outperformed other divisions, attracting executive attention. My personal style evolved alongside my professional growth, trading student hoodies for tailored blazers, though I maintained a signature style that balanced authority with approachability, bold-framed glasses, and always a touch of emerald green, my power color. The corner office with city views came with responsibilities that consumed nearly every waking hour. Team meetings, strategic planning sessions, client presentations, and crisis management left little room for personal life. A brief relationship with Daniel, Inosphere's marketing director, fizzled after 2 months of rescheduled dinners and midnight emergency code reviews. "You're married to your career," he observed without rancor during our final conversation. "I just can't compete." He wasn't wrong. Success required sacrifice, and I'd made my choice consciously. The project that ultimately catapulted my career beyond Inosphere began with a seemingly impossible client request. Financial services giant global bank needed to migrate decades of legacy systems to cloud architecture within 6 months, a timeline most experts deemed unrealistic. Rather than immediately refusing, I assembled a cross-functional team, developing a phased implementation strategy that parallelized critical processes while maintaining security protocols. The successful migration caught industry attention, featured in tech publications and case studies. Among those noticing was Eliana Vega, Chief Innovation Officer at TechVision Enterprises, a Fortune 500 company headquartered in Chicago. Her LinkedIn message was direct. "We need your kind of innovation leadership. Let's talk." The recruitment process spanned 8 weeks and 7 interviews, culminating in an offer that doubled my compensation package. The decision to leave California meant abandoning my hard-won professional network and returning to the Midwest, ironically closer to family I'd maintained careful distance from. Professional opportunity outweighed geographical concerns, and by June, I found myself in a luxury downtown Chicago apartment with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Michigan. TechVision's corporate headquarters occupied 30 floors of a sleek skyscraper with views that reminded employees daily of the company's market dominance. As Director of Strategic Innovation, I reported directly to Eliana while managing a department of 65 professionals across development, design, and product management. The scope far exceeded anything at Inosphere, with decisions impacting thousands of employees and millions of customers. The learning curve proved exhilarating and exhausting, requiring 14-hour days and working weekends. My reputation for transformation spread across departments as we modernized legacy systems while developing cutting-edge products. Quarterly financial results reflected the impact, with innovation-driven revenue growth exceeding projections for 3 consecutive quarters. Family interactions remained minimal and strained. Mom occasionally called with updates about Jason's continuing job search difficulties. He's being selective, she explained, describing his third year of post-MBA unemployment punctuated by short-term positions he deemed beneath his qualifications. My parents had remortgaged their home to help with his living expenses, a fact shared without irony or apparent awareness of the contrast with their treatment of me. When Eliana announced her planned retirement, TechVision's CEO Vincent Armstrong invited me to lunch at Chicago's exclusive Everest Club. We're considering internal candidates for Chief Innovation Officer, he stated while studying the wine list. Your results speak for themselves, but board members worry about your youth. At 33, I would be the youngest C-suite executive in company history and one of few women. Results should matter more than birth date, I replied calmly, outlining my vision for technological transformation. 2 weeks later, the promotion became official, triggering media coverage about rising tech stars and women breaking the digital ceiling. The corner office on the 42nd floor offered panoramic city views and crushing responsibility. The promotion coincided with company-wide restructuring, requiring difficult decisions about team composition and project prioritization. 80-hour workweeks became standard as I balanced operational leadership with strategic vision while managing board expectations. The relentless pace extracted physical costs. My typically resilient immune system weakened, leading to recurring respiratory infections. Sleep became fragmented and insufficient. Meals consisted primarily of delivery eaten at my desk while reviewing quarterly projections. The situation reached crisis point during a critical board presentation when lightheadedness suddenly overwhelmed me. I gripped the podium, determined to finish my strategic overview, but the room tilted alarmingly. Security footage later showed my graceless collapse, fortunately after completing the presentation. The diagnosis, exhaustion and severe dehydration, required overnight hospitalization. As I lay connected to 4 fluids, my phone continuously lit with notifications, concerned colleagues, pending decisions, unread emails. One notification stood out, Vincent Armstrong requesting a video call. Expecting concerns about my health interfering with duties, I was unprepared for his actual message. The board met emergency session. We're unanimously recommending you for CEO consideration when I retire next quarter. Your collapse worried us. Yes, but watching you finish that presentation before fainting showed exactly the commitment this company needs. Get well. We have succession planning to discuss. The hospital discharge papers included warnings about stress management and work-life balance, recommendations I initially filed alongside other well-intentioned but impractical advice. However, Vincent's unexpected announcement demanded serious reflection about sustainability. Could I realistically handle CEO responsibilities when CIO duties had literally knocked me unconscious? The succession process would involve intense scrutiny from the board, shareholders, and industry analysts. Physical collapse during this critical evaluation period would derail everything I'd worked toward. Reluctantly, I implemented structured recovery protocols, mandatory 8-hour sleep windows, thrice-weekly sessions with a personal trainer specializing in executive health, and actual lunch breaks away from my desk. My assistant Rachel received authorization to enforce these boundaries ruthlessly, even against my protests. The CEO selection committee comprised 7 board members, including 2 former TechVision chief executives and major institutional investor representatives. The evaluation process combined formal interviews, strategy presentations, and psychological assessments designed to identify leadership capabilities under pressure. My primary competition came from external candidates, the COO of a rival tech corporation, and a celebrated industry veteran with decades of executive experience. The committee's concerns emerged clearly during my second interview when board member Lawrence Thornton asked pointedly about leadership maturity and life experience necessary for C-suite perspective. The gendered and age-based undertones weren't subtle. Rather than defensiveness, I pivoted to data, presenting my track record of transformative leadership against quarterly objectives. Results demonstrate capability more conclusively than birth date, I concluded, meeting each committee member's gaze directly. The decisive moment arrived during final presentations when candidates outlined 10-year strategic visions for TechVision's future. While competitors proposed cautious evolution of existing business models, I presented bold digital transformation paired with practical implementation roadmaps. Revolutionary vision with executable strategy, I emphasized, highlighting specific growth metrics and innovation pathways. 2 days later, Vincent called with congratulations. The board had voted unanimously for my appointment, making me the youngest CEO in TechVision's 60-year history and first woman to hold the position. The announcement triggered national business news coverage, technology publication profiles, and a flurry of speaking invitations. The Chicago Business Journal's headline captured the milestone: Tech Visionary at 34. Madison Taylor shatters corporate ceiling. The glossy profile included professional achievements without personal background, exactly as I preferred. Surprisingly, Mom called the day after publication. "We saw your picture in the paper," she began awkwardly. "Dad and I are really proud." The unfamiliar praise felt simultaneously validating and suspiciously late. We exchanged brief pleasantries before ending the call, leaving unaddressed years of complicated history. My first 100 days as CEO focused on establishing leadership credibility, communicating strategic priorities, and building key stakeholder relationships. The transition period included intensive meetings with division heads, major clients, and institutional investors, each requiring distinct messaging while maintaining consistent vision. The punishing schedule might have triggered another physical collapse without Rachel's vigilant calendar management ensuring recovery intervals between high-intensity commitments. The unexpected communication came 6 weeks into my tenure, a LinkedIn message from Jason, breaking 3 years of silence. "Congratulations on the CEO position. Impressive achievement. Would love to catch up sometime." The message ended with his phone number and uncharacteristic humility. Curiosity and wariness battled as I considered appropriate response. Eventually, professionalism won. I suggested lunch at Riverview, a moderately upscale restaurant near headquarters where the ambient noise would prevent overheard conversation. The reunion proved awkwardly illuminating. Jason arrived 15 minutes late, wearing an obviously new designer suit, radiating nervous energy as he approached my table. Our conversation began with superficial exchanges about Chicago weather and downtown development before he abruptly shifted topics. "I've been thinking about new career directions," he mentioned while studying the menu intently. "Corporate strategy has always interested me. Actually, TechVision has some impressive innovation initiatives." The real purpose emerged, networking disguised as family reconnection. Rather than confrontation, I maintained professional courtesy, asking about his experience and career goals with the neutral interest I'd show any acquaintance. His resume highlights revealed a pattern: short tenures, lateral moves, and inflated titles at progressively smaller companies. When coffee arrived, Jason finally reached his agenda. TechVision's strategic planning division would be perfect for my background. "Any chance you could put in a word?" I explained our standardized hiring processes while emphasizing merit-based evaluation, suggesting he apply through proper channels if genuinely interested. His momentary disappointment quickly transformed into renewed confidence that his application would obviously stand out naturally. 2 weeks later, Rachel placed the daily document packet on my desk, including personnel files requiring CEO review. The familiar name on a senior strategy position application triggered conflicting emotions. Jason had actually followed through, applying for a director-level role requiring 15 years of experience despite his 5 years of intermittent employment. Human Resources had forwarded his application with others, unaware of our connection due to different last names. He'd taken our stepfather's surname during college, while I maintained our biological father's name. Standard protocol dictated delegating review to the hiring department head, but curiosity and perhaps a touch of vindictiveness prompted my personal involvement. Scheduling the interview directly represented a minor professional breach, but offered closure opportunity for personal history. Selecting the earliest available morning slot, I instructed Rachel to manage the interview personally without revealing the candidate's relationship to me. The boardroom would provide neutral territory for this unexpected collision of past wounds and present power. As I reviewed the company quarterly projections that evening, my thoughts drifted repeatedly to the upcoming encounter. What did I actually want from this interaction? Justice? Acknowledgement? Reconciliation? The answer remained frustratingly unclear as downtown Chicago's lights gradually illuminated against the darkening sky. Tuesday morning arrived with stereotypical Chicago spring unpredictability, brilliant sunshine interrupted by sudden downpours that left the massive TechVision lobby windows streaked with racing droplets. I deliberately arrived at the executive conference room 15 minutes early, selecting the chair that faced the doorway to observe Jason's entrance fully. Rachel had arranged the standard interview setup: water carafes, notepads, company overview portfolios, and the subtle power dynamic of a slightly elevated chair for the interviewer. At precisely 9 a.m., Rachel's voice announced through the intercom, "Mr. Parker has arrived for his interview, Ms. Taylor." My response remained professionally neutral. "Please send him in." Jason's expression progressed through fascinating emotional stages upon entering: initial confidence, confusion at finding only one interviewer, dawning recognition, and finally undisguised shock as comprehension fully landed. "Madison, you're conducting the interview?" His voice wavered slightly while he remained frozen near the doorway. "Please take a seat, Mr. Parker," I responded with deliberate formality, gesturing toward the chair opposite. "Your resume indicates interest in our strategic planning director position." Watching him struggle to recalibrate was admittedly satisfying after years of witnessing his unearned confidence. He settled awkwardly into the chair, straightening his tie in a nervous gesture reminiscent of our father. The interview began conventionally, with standard questions about experience and qualifications. Jason recovered some composure, delivering rehearsed responses about synergistic leadership and strategic vision implementation, using MBA jargon that obscured his limited actual accomplishments. I maintained professional demeanor while probing specific claims, watching his confidence erode as vague assertions met requests for concrete metrics and verifiable outcomes. 40 minutes into this increasingly uncomfortable exchange, I finally addressed the elephant trampling through our professional pretense. "Your application suggests 15 years of progressive leadership experience, yet your work history shows approximately 5 years of employment with significant gaps. Would you care to explain this discrepancy?" The direct question punctured his remaining poise. "Look, Madison, we both know this situation is unusual. Maybe we should acknowledge our history before continuing." This personal pivot invited the conversation we actually needed to have. Setting aside my interview notes, I nodded once, permitting the professional facade to recede slightly. "Our history certainly is relevant to this discussion. Tell me, Jason, did you know they sold my car to pay for your MBA?" The blunt question clearly surprised him. "They said you had agreed to help," he responded, genuine confusion crossing his features. "That's not how it happened," I stated calmly, proceeding to outline the actual events, my discovery after the fact, the dismissal of my concerns, and the financial hardship that followed. As I detailed working multiple jobs while navigating college, without transportation, Jason's expression shifted from defensive to increasingly uncomfortable. "I didn't know," he admitted finally, studying his manicured fingernails. "They always portrayed you as the strong one who didn't need help, while you needed everything handed to you?" I finished, unable to completely suppress the lingering resentment. Rather than the defensive response I expected, Jason's shoulders slumped with unexpected vulnerability. "I've never lived up to their investment," he confessed quietly. "Northwestern's MBA opened doors, but I couldn't maintain positions once hired. Something was always missing: the work ethic, the skills, the instinct, everything that seems to come naturally to you." This admission created an opening for authentic conversation. For nearly an hour, professional pretense entirely abandoned, we excavated decades of family dynamics. Jason revealed our parents' continued financial support throughout his 30s, including covering his rent during unemployment periods and co-signing for a luxury car lease, to make the right impression at interviews. The enabling pattern had created dependency rather than capability, undermining his professional development while reinforcing entitlement. "I'm drowning in expectations I can't fulfill," he acknowledged, "while watching you soar without their help." This unexpected vulnerable exchange shifted the interaction's emotional texture, creating space for genuine connection rather than scorekeeping. My assessment of his actual qualifications remained unchanged. He was objectively unqualified for the director position. However, his capacity for honest self-reflection suggested potential for growth if properly channeled. Our conversation had reached this delicate inflection point when Rachel's urgent voice interrupted through the intercom. "Miss Taylor, we have an unexpected situation requiring immediate attention." Something in her tone signaled this wasn't standard interruption protocol. "What's happening, Rachel? There are visitors in reception insisting on seeing you without appointment. Security has been notified as per protocol." Her careful phrasing suggested sensitivity. "Who are these visitors?" "A Mr. and Mrs. Parker, claiming family connection. They became agitated upon learning Mr. Parker was interviewing here." The simultaneous surprise Jason and I exchanged confirmed neither had orchestrated this unexpected parental appearance. "I'll handle this," I assured Rachel, standing to smooth my charcoal pencil skirt. "Please escort Mr. Parker to my private office and have our visitors brought to the executive conference room." Jason's bewildered expression mirrored my internal reaction as we processed this bizarre development. "Did you tell them about the interview?" I asked while gathering my materials. "Absolutely not," he insisted. "I wouldn't involve them in my professional matters anymore." Despite 12 years of corporate experience navigating challenging stakeholder interactions, nothing had prepared me for the surreal sensation of watching my parents enter my executive conference room as nervous visitors. Dad's typically confident posture appeared diminished in TechVision's sleek corporate environment, his department store blazer slightly rumpled from Chicago's humidity. Mom clutched her purse with white-knuckled tension, eyes darting around the room before settling on me with an expression mixing pride and apprehension. "Madison," she began uncertainly, "we saw Jason entering this building this morning. We were meeting him for lunch and arrived early." Dad interrupted with forced heartiness. "Quite an impressive operation you're running here, Maddie." The security downstairs barely believed we were the CEO's parents. The awkward attempt at levity fell flat against the weight of unresolved history. Mom stepped closer, lowering her voice despite our privacy. "We didn't know Jason was interviewing with your company. He's been so determined to handle his career independently lately." The irony of this statement nearly triggered inappropriate laughter. As security hovered discreetly outside the glass doors, Mom suddenly reached for my hand, an unexpected gesture crossing professional boundaries. "Seeing this," she whispered, gesturing toward the executive surroundings, "makes me realize how much we underestimated you." Dad maintained stiff posture across the table, pride and stubbornness battling visibly across his features. The moment stretched uncomfortably until Mom whispered words I'd never expected to hear. "I'm sorry about your car, Madison. It was wrong, and I've regretted it for years." Before I could process this long overdue acknowledgement, the conference room door opened as Jason entered hesitantly, creating the first complete family gathering in nearly 5 years. Dad's expression hardened with familiar disappointment upon seeing his son, suggesting recent tensions beyond my awareness. As complex emotions threatened to overwhelm this inappropriate professional setting, I made an executive decision befitting my position. "This conversation requires privacy and time we don't have here. I suggest continuing at my residence this evening." With a decisive gesture toward the door, I reclaimed control of the situation, establishing boundaries between my personal history and professional present. 7 o'clock. "Rachel will text you the address." The conference room door closed behind them, leaving me momentarily alone with the echoes of unresolved family dynamics and the pressing matters of a Fortune 500 company awaiting my leadership. The family dinner that evening marked a watershed moment in our collective history, the first time we gathered around a table as 4 adults without the comfortable fiction of normal family dynamics. My penthouse dining room, with its panoramic Chicago skyline view, provided neutral territory for this overdue reckoning. The professional chef service I'd arranged delivered a 4-course meal that eliminated kitchen distractions, forcing conversation as our only activity. Initial exchanges focused on safe topics, downtown architecture, neighborhood changes, distant relatives, before I deliberately steered us toward necessary truths. Jason's application revealed significant qualification gaps for the position he sought. I stated calmly between courses. However, our conversation identified capabilities suitable for an entry-level strategic analyst role with appropriate development pathways. My parents exchanged confused glances while Jason studied his plate intently. "We didn't realize you were in position to offer jobs," Dad began awkwardly. "Jason has executive experience that surely qualifies him for senior roles." The familiar defense mechanism triggered my professional rather than emotional response. TechVision maintains rigorous qualification standards regardless of connection. Jason's actual experience aligns with analyst level, with potential for advancement based on performance rather than credentials. This frank assessment visibly wounded Dad's perception of his son's status, while Mom nervously rearranged her silverware. The breakthrough came unexpectedly from Jason himself. "They're right, Dad. My resume has been creative fiction for years. Madison offered a legitimate opportunity based on my actual capabilities rather than family obligation." His straightforward acknowledgement shifted the evening's emotional architecture. "I've accepted the analyst position starting next month." This revelation created space for addressing deeper family patterns. Mom's earlier apology expanded into genuine conversation about inequitable treatment throughout our childhood. "We always believed Jason needed more support while you seemed naturally capable," she explained, tears gathering as understanding dawned. "Instead of nurturing both children's different strengths, we created harmful imbalance." Dad struggled visibly with this reconstruction of his parenting narrative, initially defensive before grudgingly acknowledging that results spoke for themselves. "You've succeeded beyond anything we imagined," he admitted finally. Without our help, the conversation extended past midnight, excavating decades of misunderstanding without resolving every wound. Perfect closure remained elusive, but authentic acknowledgement created foundation for healthier adult relationships. Jason's integration into TechVision's corporate structure proceeded with careful professional boundaries. His analyst position reported through standard management channels, with performance evaluations conducted by department leadership without my involvement. Initial adjustment proved challenging as he encountered corporate accountability without family safety nets. His first quarterly review included constructive criticism about deadline management and thoroughness, feedback he historically rejected but now worked to address. Our sibling relationship evolved gradually from estrangement toward tentative friendship. Monthly lunch meetings provided space for personal connection outside corporate hierarchy, where we discovered shared interests in documentary films and hiking previously obscured by competitive family dynamics. Jason's gradual professional growth proved surprisingly satisfying to witness, especially as he developed genuine skills through dedicated effort rather than entitlement. The family reconciliation process progressed unevenly over subsequent months. Mom embraced therapeutic resources for understanding enabling behaviors and their impacts, while Dad's progress came more grudgingly through practical evidence of changing dynamics. Their relationship with Jason underwent necessary reconstruction as they stopped providing financial cushions and began respecting his independence. My emotional healing followed parallel but distinct pathways, focusing on establishing healthy boundaries while releasing resentment that no longer served my well-being. The professional leadership lessons from this personal journey informed corporate initiatives including TechVision's Potential Pathways program, providing development opportunities for promising employees lacking traditional credentials but demonstrating exceptional capabilities. The program's first cohort included Amara Johnson, a customer service representative whose innovative client management approaches had caught multiple supervisors' attention despite her lack of formal education. Watching her thrive with proper mentorship and growth opportunities provided particular satisfaction. Personal life gradually expanded beyond career focus as I developed friendship with Caroline Winters, TechVision CFO, who shared similar childhood experiences of being the responsible one in her family. Our Thursday evening running sessions along Chicago's lakefront provided space for authentic conversation about balancing ambition with personal fulfillment. Through her encouragement, I cautiously began dating again, allowing vulnerability previously reserved for professional risks. The symbolic full-circle moment arrived unexpectedly during a mentorship conversation with Zoe Rodriguez, a brilliant young software engineer facing transportation challenges that limited her participation in an advanced development program. Her situation triggered immediate recognition, talent potentially derailed by practical limitations. Reliable transportation seems fundamental until you suddenly lack it, I observed, sharing an abbreviated version of my college experience. The next day, TechVision's Transportation Assistance Program proposal reached the Executive Committee, quickly gaining approval for implementation. The program's first beneficiary received company-backed auto financing the following month, her tearful gratitude resurfacing emotions I'd long suppressed. 6 months into his analyst role, Jason requested our monthly lunch meeting at the small Italian restaurant near Millennium Park. I've been offered a competitive position at Meridian Technologies, he announced between bread slices. Higher salary, impressive title. My immediate congratulations shifted to curiosity as he continued. I'm declining their offer. The advancement opportunities you've established here provide actual growth, not just impressive business cards. For the first time, I'm building something substantial through genuine effort. This acknowledgement represented healing neither of us could have anticipated years earlier. The journey from betrayal to empowerment had transformed not just my circumstances, but my fundamental understanding of success. True achievement wasn't measured through comparison or external validation, but through creating value aligned with personal integrity. The car sold without permission years ago had unknowingly fueled determination that built something far more substantial than transportation. It built unshakable self-reliance and the courage to define success on my own terms. Have you ever experienced a betrayal that ultimately pushed you toward greater strength? Share your story in the comments below. If this journey of overcoming family favoritism and building success through determination resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button and like this video. I'd love to know which part of the story connected most deeply with you, so drop your thoughts below. Thank you for joining me on this journey from betrayal to boardroom. Remember that sometimes the path others create for you becomes the motivation to forge your own road to success.